It's the pre-market ritual you never knew you needed. Get ready to gap and go with the Calum Trading Institute.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Gap and Go. What's the best way to describe it? April 2, tariffs in place. Looks like a lot of things already priced in. We always talk about how efficient markets are. You look at negative economic data actually coming last week. PPI came in negative, first time in a long while. So obviously it tells you how weak the consumer is. Um, I'll go over all these different macro narratives, but maybe I just want to ask first is this the start of a great rotation heading out of the dollar, or is it just something temporary which should actually make the US a little bit more stronger in the medium term? So, Jason, maybe you can share your thoughts first.
Well, like if you look at naman all the policies of the Trump admin, no, they really have like a grand plan, diba? You know, they want to fix the finances, right? They want to bring back manufacturing at home. I mean, syempre long term, I think it's going to make them even stronger. Diba? It's just that we're questioning the short-term impact of all these policies, diba? Kasi nga, they appear to be, not friendly for the stock market, right? For the dollar and the economy, at least for the short term, diba? And I guess, parang me, it's very clear when you look at the market today, diba? Year-to-date performance. I mean, you look at US is like down, right? Single-digit percentage. Bonds are up, gold are up. I mean, international equities have performed really well, right? Led by Europe, like almost 30% up. Diba? So it's really, shaking the boat in the short term, diba?
And it looks like those policies, obviously coming from negative criticism about all these short-term impact. But if you look at it structurally, I think you mentioned a key point there is, for example, just to put people into context, Samsung, I think, pledged 20 billion. NVIDIA pledged hundreds of billion. Even TSM, which was supposed to just invest 7 to 11 billion, now it's up to 100 billion. Saudi's SoftBank, which should,
Yeah.
if you look at it, which actually makes sense from the US perspective, right? And obviously the importance of having chips back home. So at least you have national security with regards to some of these stuff. Now, it might all seem like the impact is heading on the semiconductor end, and usually on the chip end. So I don't know how much impact tariffs would, see on, basic commodities. I think that's the other aspect that, we're still not discounting. But I guess, from overall that perspective, maybe we can start showing some charts. And it's perfect right now because all these narratives being played out today, forcing, well, it looks like the US is trying to force a recession. We talk about cutting spending via Doge, trying to bring both the dollar and the interest rates lower despite concerns of sticky inflation. In fact, the Fed has been making statements about we actually think that we have room to pause. So it's actually difference in statements because the market's already expecting a 50 basis point cut.
Yeah, so parang may divergence, right, between what the market's expecting and the Fed, right? Like trying to remain not hawkish, but I guess not supportive of equities.
Yes. So some things to think about before we get to Brian. We've really seen this divergence in performance from Europe, largely led by the European banks. Brian, maybe you can share your thoughts. Obviously, we've seen weak stock market, although the market did rally the last few days coming from oversold territory. Actually makes sense because most of these Mag 7 have been down a lot. Maybe you can share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, B rally is in play for the US. I think the past weeks you've seen lost wealth, especially in the Mag 7. So this is very significant because it's how many times do you see this Mag 7 prolonged? They're close to very near the 200-day EMA. So yes, B wave rally. Money is going to Europe. The US is trying to form this, possible bottom for the year, but I doubt it. Because you have your America First policy, di ba? Putting a cap on this, I think this possible rally. So, aside from that, what we're seeing is we're not sure if this rally is going to be a strong bear or weak bear, flat ba yan, B wave that is flat ba or tilting higher. So in terms of price structure, it's at the risk of further deterioration if the rally fails. So I'm at that camp where, kasi a lot of especially sa CNBC, di ba? Sila Tom Lee, di ba? They're talking about face-ripping rally, which I doubt again because of the America First policy, which is really not directly supportive of the stock market.
Yeah, this is short term.
In the short run, hindi. You'll see some glimpses of possible parang face-ripping rally every time Trump flip-flops the tariff narrative, di ba? Pag sinabi niya, we're going to parang backtrack on it, then nagrarally na ng malakas. But how sustainable it is or how strong it is, I doubt if it's really that strong.
That
Because
begs the
again,
question, though. Where
because
else do you put your money, diba?
because this rally is really looking for searching for its resistance. So, but if you're going to look forward and look at possible hit on GDP and earnings, there's context behind that fear of that going down. Kasi you have your Doge cutting government spending, di ba, which really contributes a lot to the GDP. So there's context in possible leg down for this market. It's not without context, but we don't know about this market, how strong it, kasi parang if this one goes really, parang goes retest the highs, parang it just actually ignored the possible parang weakness in GDP or earnings. So
Think about it. Like, sa totoo lang, parang nag-recalibrate na yung market eh. Parang recession fears, yes. There's no systemic risk, yes. Market knows that. I assume, right? Maybe you might have a derating in earnings coming from 13% to 11%. But at the end of the day, earnings for most of the Mag 7 still looks relatively healthy. I mean, from how I'm seeing it. But I don't see anything major concerning. I understand that there's cutting down in spending, but where else, from an institutional standpoint, where do you put your money? If I had to rank countries on where to invest from equity standpoint, yes, you might have Europe because it's cheap. Yes, you might have China as they play catch up and valuations are still attractive. But from a main headline perspective, I still think that US probably is still your best bet for putting in money. So I'm not saying it's gonna rally big. I'm just saying that if I had to look at it from institutional standpoint, I think US would still be a main priority for putting inflows.
yeah, it's not frothy in the sense that the Mag 7 are still really robust earnings, di ba? Multiple wise.
I think it will depend on the earnings.
It a lot of things bank on that earnings is if it's going to really reaccelerate, which will justify your
I think yung expectation for earnings is somewhere near 20%. Diba? Not out of this world, but may room for disappointment. Diba? But of course, let's see.
Yeah, there's room for especially yung Mag 7 kasi, especially their sectors are being attacked. For example, your Nvidia, although earnings are still great, you have your China narrative on their own semicon chips, their chips, diba? You have
Parang
Google.
fear of disruption.
Oh, Google because of what? DeepSeek ba? Or, diba? Or Grok, diba? Parang ads, parang search slowing down. Well, lahat nagka-Grok na. Tapos you have your Facebook ads nila. If kasi si RFK Jr. is stopping the ads from pharma, 'di ba? Sa cables, sa TV. So probably eventually sa mga social media din. So you're seeing Facebook inunahan na nila. They're going to charge what? $14 subscription na yata sa Instagram for no ads din. So all those things, possible disruptions in the Mag 7 also.
I think that's a harsh term, disruption, but short-term impact, maybe it looks like that's what the market's being priced in. I think disruption is too drastic of a term. I think it's too early to say those things.
Too early.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
if you
impossible, but too early. Yes.
if you look at history, diba, no group of companies stayed on top forever. But yeah, we need more evidence, of course, to say that, diba?
And if possible reversals naman, like if you're looking at reversals in the S&P. So it just doesn't turn on a dime naman. So you see still parang durations form. Kaya nga we're talking about the B wave. Is it going to mature into something worse? So it still remains to be seen.
And this movement out of the dollar led to big rallies across the board in Europe. You can talk about Poland, you can talk about Austria, Spain, Greece, actually everybody across the board rallied, which and I think everybody's running on the same theme where wala tayong makitang systemic risk. All the banks, all the financials are just making so much money all over the world. And so what's happening is that if that's the case, then yes, we might have a slowdown, which is nothing wrong. It's just bringing down the froth, bringing down the expectations. You might have 2 or 3 quarters of declining growth, but at the end of the day, it should actually make everywhere else in a better position. And I think that's what the markets are being pricing in today. Vis-a-vis emerging market, you probably say that emerging market is actually in a worse condition, led by some areas of the weakness coming from China. But if you look at China as a whole, I think it's still top 5 performance for this year. And you look at other beneficiaries, for example, like Vietnam. Looks like Vietnam is actually, benefiting from that as well. But I think the point being here is that yes, you're seeing some weakness in other countries, but it's not correlation one. So what's happening here is that everything's just rotation and flows. Because usually if there's systemic risk, correlation one na lang yan, diba? Which looks like that's not the case today.
Especially the surprise, as you said, in Europe, they used to be the worst area. If you remember the term pigs, those 5 countries that are worse off, but suddenly, so we all thought that the Ukraine war is going to make things worse for that area, but surprisingly, it's not.
Well, actually, it did naman. But I think now people are playing, baka tapos na. There might be some resolution to the war, right? Diba? And I think that yung Europe has really been so hurt like the past few years, diba? So now that I think the base is like extremely low, like konting improvement lang, and we get this huge rally, diba?
Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Would you say you're bullish, bearish, or this is B rally? I mean, I think overall we're still participating because it's oversold, but still cautious on what's happening in the US. Not because of anything risky, except that I guess we're just picking our bets carefully with regards to which sectors. Because if you look at some of the subsectors in the S&P, a lot of these guys actually have fallen like 50%. Reddit down 50%. Your speculative issues, HIMS, down also 60% over the last month. So I don't know what you take of it, but how we see it, siguro all B-wave rallies, diba? Just participating in oversold condition, keeping your time duration short.
Ako, I just see this spike up and spike down. Alam ko marami nasaktan eh. So that's why I think that this correction US may take some more time.
Okay, let's just straight to emerging market really quick. And we've seen the oversold rally in the dollar. Obviously, you're seeing pullbacks happen across the board, especially in emerging market. And Hong Kong also seen a break of this short-term uptrend. Doesn't mean it's over, just means it just probably needs more time to digest all these oversold condition, but sorry, overbought condition. Any thoughts on China, Hong Kong?
According to what I learned from Juan is Hong Kong is a markup. So you have to look for tracements, diba? Yes, I think it's still in play. You just have to wait for the index is trying to correct that exaggerated upward move.
Brian, I should ask you this question. Uso ngayon plays out there. So
Yeah,
that's very Hong Kong style, right? Maybe you can share your thoughts on that.
I think for some issues it's justified to place out like Xiaomi. I think nandiyan na yung imputed na yung parang good enough multiple to place out. But I doubt if like some other yung mga Alibaba are the multiples good enough for placing out. May iba mga low PEs pa eh.
Ito 12 times lang eh, diba?
Oh, diba? I'm not sure if your investors are willing to place out at this level. Xiaomi is justified, so medyo extended na rin kasi.
Yeah. But I have a question for you. Normally, diba dati pag Hong Kong plays out, pababa na eh, diba? Actually, nagpa-place out ang, let's say for example, BYD plays out, nag-rally pa after that. So I don't know if this time a different type of feeling. So, ano tingin mo? Like kahapon plays out ang Xiaomi eh, diba?
Yeah. Parang may more than enough demand for those place outs. Kasi place out syempre yan extra shares yan eh, di ba? Parang nadagdag sa market eh. So parang merong demand, particularly institutional demand. Yung mga ganun that those institutions can absorb that kind of amount of placements. Parang merong demand siya.
Galing ng Hong Kong, no? Pag umakat ang stock price, place out agad eh. Diba?
I think it's parang chance nila.
They know the cyclicality nature of the business, and in China, right? Obviously, you're going through good times. It's not frothy times, but it's good times. Plays out, hindi pa nag-froth, okay lang. Pag nawala, di bababa ulit, diba? This is like Hong Kong. It's like very common in Hong Kong. Every time market they place out.
In a way, cautious din. Kasi parang they're not thinking na, oh, sure ball na tong
Oo, diba?
sure ball na tong growth na to because the government is pumping the market. Parang rin sila. Parang conservative in a way.
It's like Nvidia. Parang Nvidia up 10 times, right? Siguro pag nangyari ito sa China, place out na to takong beses.
Parang ganun. Oh.
Like Nvidia is making $90 billion in free cash flow. In fact, they're still doing they're making so much money. Tapos, share buyback pa sila eh, di ba? Kung nangyari
But
yun sa Xiaomi, I'm sure, plays out once. Pag umakyat ulit, plays out ulit, di ba?
baka may difference din sa dynamic in terms of uh, kasi sa China kasi most of them are state-owned. Tama ba? Sa US kasi pag founder-led, alam mo naman pag founder-led medyo hesitant mag-place. Mga ganyan.
Anyway, looks like Hong Kong emerging market is still there. Yes, you're going through volatility. You need to wait for this to finish, in my opinion. Even you'll probably see companies sit at support on the 50-day. You'll notice that MACD for many of these guys is still wide open. So normally in these instances, you still need more time for it to digest. Will it rally back to resistance? Maybe because it's oversold, but as long as MACD is still wide open, just be very careful. You might be succumb to volatility in the short term.
Yeah, and went up like how many 600% eh.
Okay.
During time,
Sure.
let's say, just a quick on Hong Kong lang. Let's say, so we're looking for it to finish its duration, like correcting a very exaggerated move upward. So while it's trying to, eventually it will finish, during that time, you try to look for relatively stronger issues for those who are going to trade this market. So parang while as it finishes, the duration finishes, try to look for relatively stronger ones. So that would lead the market again.
Okay, good. Last but not the least, and one of the biggest losers also from emerging market, still the Philippines. No volume. I rest my case. I think Philippines is still going through a no interest period. I think just because it's cheap.
Accumulation stage ba yan?
What?
Accumulation stage ba yan?
In fact, I mean, you could say it's accumulation stage, but in my opinion, I think it's still early. I mean, yes, I know it's cheap. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's the reason why I've been very cautious because I still feel like there's still better alternatives happening outside. Not because of anything wrong.
Well, yeah.
Just think it's just why would foreign investors come invest into the Philippines? There's no catalyst yet. Maybe you might see with create law with reduction in transaction tax, but I don't know.
At least we're not Thailand and Indonesia.
That's true also. Like Thailand is in like deep, what's the word for it? Deep shit. I don't know.
So kailan tayo magiging Europe? No. Diba? Sabay ganun.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's also reason why you're seeing maybe the banks still do well. I think it's a common case all over the world where banks are just making so much money. So if interest rates stay elevated, the banks make so much money. If interest rates go down, they'll also make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why banks have been relatively strong.
Yeah. But I think yung vibe sa local market's pretty clear. Eh. Defensive na lahat eh. I mean, look at the stocks that are outperforming, right? MWC, Meralco, right?
Yep. I agree also 100%.
So they just get the dividend, sit on it, diba? I mean, look at like what's happening to SM Prime, Ali. I mean, it's oversold. Doesn't want to rally.
Well, that's the property market for you.
Diba?
Any bright spot? I don't know. Consumer trying to find some footing. I don't know if it's there yet, but some of the consumer companies are trying
The nicest one now is converged in terms of price structure. Outside of the utilities. Okay, utility ni halos din to. Utility ni halos din.
I don't know. When I see the Philippines, okay. Okay na natin tingnan.
Yeah, you can just feel how patient the investors are.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
patient.
I think everything is going to be tied down to the dollar, right? So as long as this is still oversold and still in rally mode, I think just be extra careful now. Nothing wrong. I don't think if the Philippines is going to go down. I think it's just going to stay here for a long period of time. I think interest rates are still what everybody's watching out for. And the
And
dollar.
I think this is also one of the most important this year, diba? Kasi, diba, you're talking about Doji, refinancing year, diba? What's gonna happen with all those things, recession, diba? So I think FYI, no, so during recessions, actually the fiscal deficit of the US spikes. So parang I think it's a delicate balance yung kailangan nila gawin. Diba? And also if the stock market goes down, the fiscal deficit also goes up. So I just think that maraming uncertainty yung US, diba?
All right. Last things, guys. Watch for the dollar. I think we're still oversold today. I think big picture wise.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. I really pray it's
mo,
gonna go
tingin mo
down.
based on bababa or
Well, actually, if you look at the trade-weighted US dollar, exaggerate na talaga eh. Like, way past the Asian financial crisis highs. Diba? And parang to me, if you study also the currencies, may cycles din yan eh. So, really pray that, this is going down. US dollar.
Well, they're gonna make a move soon. Looks like it, whether up or down. I just don't know which direction. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for today's Gap&Go. Actually, not much the last 2 weeks. I think everybody's just been taking a cautious stance, which for me is also correct. Cutting down time frames, not trying to make too much deployment elsewhere, being extra cautious and playing defensive. I think all those are key to surviving whatever is happening on volatility. I think outside is still priority. But the thing is, if you're looking at China, Hong Kong, still overbought. Wait for magnitude to wait for the duration to finish. Wait for the sell-off just because of how big of a rally it's gone up to finish first. You'll probably see some oversold rallies happen in the US, but again, for us, it's still a V-wave rally. So it's still not for buying and holding, it's still for selling. And as to the Philippines, good luck. Hopefully the rest of the emerging market sees some floor or some catalyst. Yes, again, we're going back to the statement that it's cheap, but if you look at it from the Philippines perspective, it's still playing defensive. You look at the utilities, those are the outperforming, and that will likely be the case. And that's the reason why the banks and utilities have been the biggest performer right now. All right. So with that, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys 2 weeks from now. Hopefully we get a different outlook 2 weeks from now. All right. Bye, guys.